Carly Fortune's hit romance novel Meet Me at the Lake. Well, that's now on ice after Netflix decided not to renew its $100 million deal with Harry and Meghan. Kinsey, this is a...
It started like any other Wednesday night on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. The lights were warm, the crowd was alive, and actor Josh Brolin took his seat, ready to dish out the usual Hollywood charm. He swapped stories from the Knives Out sequel, teased his upcoming thriller Weapons, and sprinkled in just enough quick wit to keep the audience hanging on every word. Everything was smooth, polished, exactly as planned. And then, the moment. A glass appeared in front of him, pale, golden pink, catching the studio lights like a quiet secret. No label, no logo. But to anyone who keeps up with celebrity product launches, its identity was crystal clear.
Securing the rights to make this movie, and there's no director, no casting calls, no cast. The writer's strike has come and gone. There's just simply no excuse. And while Meet Me at the Lake seems to be DOA, Meghan's camp is leaking stories that
He lifted the glass, letting the studio lights dance through the pale liquid. For a second, he just looked at it then. With perfect comedic timing, he dropped the line. Wait, is that wine? Looks like urine. The audience didn't just giggle, they exploded. This was the kind of deep, can't hold it in laughter that happens when a joke hits a little too close to the truth. In that moment, Meghan Markle's Ever Rose wasn't the glossy, high-end lifestyle drink. It was meant to be. It was the night's biggest punchline. And the wildest part? Josh Brolin never said her name or the brand. He didn't need to.
Now, Prince Harry has reportedly offered the royal family a peace offering in the form of sharing his official diary engagements with them in a bid to further reduce tensions between him and his father.
In the tight-knit world where fine wine meets celebrity glamour, the moment he raised that strangely tinted glass, people watching at home knew instantly what it was. Meghan's Ever Rose had been everywhere in the months before its launch, splashed across ads with dreamy pink tones, framed by rolling vineyards, and always paired with Meghan herself, poised in carefully crafted shots that made effortless royalty look like second nature.
Thing here, Kinsey.
Okay, so the idea is that Prince Harry will generously look to avoid overshadowing important royal events going forward by sharing his schedule. This is something that you and I discuss all the time. We're like, oh, the royals have something important coming up here.
Every inch of the branding was built to scream curated elegance. But in just 5 seconds, Brolin's offhand remark tore the whole illusion apart. The nod was so unmistakable that Twitter lit up almost instantly. Users began pairing freeze frames of the moment with glossy Ever Rose promo shots, noting how the color in that studio glass was a near-perfect match to Meghan's wine.
That although he won't go so far as to let Prince William manage his schedule, he is, for the first time since tensions began in 2020, open to Prince William being informed of his whereabouts. What a charitable sacrifice from this world.
This wasn't just a throwaway joke, it was a public call-out in front of millions. Maybe, in another setting, the comment would have faded into the background. But late-night television isn't a quiet dinner table, it's a megaphone. Within minutes, clips of Brolin's remark were everywhere. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter spreading faster than any ad campaign ever could. By morning, Ever Rose was trending, but for all the wrong reasons. Influencers jumped on the moment, staging mock wine tastings with apple juice or neon sports drinks, dramatically repeating Brolin's line with exaggerated disgust. Wine critics didn't exactly defend Meghan either. Some subtly hinted that Ever Rose had always been more hype than substance. One sommelier even posted, "Not saying Brolin's wrong, just saying I've never had a $65 wine taste this delicate." The word delicate came with a yellow emoji that said, "More than words ever could." The damage wasn't quiet, it was memed into permanence. And for Meghan, the real sting wasn't just the joke itself, it was the laughter. Not casual chuckles, but that deep, knowing laugh of a crowd who already suspected the brand was hollow, overpriced, and begging to be mocked.
Bliss little twerp.
I tell you, if he does not mend relations with his family now, I think it's going to be almost impossible once William is king. He really has to become genuine about admitting some fault,
It was the sound of a public that, in that instant, no longer saw her as a sophisticated duchess turned entrepreneur, but as an out-of-touch celebrity peddling an overpriced bottle of mediocrity. The optics were brutal. The audience wasn't laughing with Meghan. They were laughing at her, and doing so with the gleeful satisfaction of people who felt they'd just been handed proof of something they'd suspected all along. In brand management terms, this wasn't a small stumble, it was a full-on credibility collapse. What made it so devastating was that Ever Rose wasn't just another product. It was a carefully crafted pillar of her post-royal identity. She had positioned it as a statement of refinement, independence, and entrepreneurial vision. Every detail, every label design, every press release, every photo shoot was engineered to place her in the same league as celebrity moguls like Gwyneth Paltrow and Reese Witherspoon. But Meghan's public credibility was already on shaky ground, weighed down by royal controversies, Netflix backlash, and a deeply divided public opinion. That's why Ever Rose was never just wine. It was part of her personal story. And when Brolin's casual jab reduced it to nothing more than the color of urine, the brand and the image it was built to protect took a hit it couldn't disguise.
To throwing mud at his family, putting his late grandmother under terrible stress during her final years, and his grandfather. Now, let's talk about late night TV host Jay Leno. He's lashed out at the current crop of late night TV.
This wasn't just a swipe at a drink. It was a hit on her image, her taste, her judgment, and her authenticity. Years of careful brand building unraveled with one late-night punchline. By sunrise, Josh Brolin's offhand remark had morphed into a full-blown cultural spectacle online. Hashtags like #PotRoast, #Evergross, and #Golden Gate Scandal were trending on X. TikTok creators acted out parody sommelier scenes, swirling glasses of Ever Rose before recoiling in over-the-top disgust. Instagram Reels showed people pouring neon lemon sports drinks into champagne flutes with captions like, "Brolin was right." Even wine influencers, usually tactful when critiquing celebrity labels, were posting blind taste tests where Ever Rose consistently landed dead last. This wasn't harmless internet teasing. It was a coordinated digital roast, and Meghan's name was the headline act.
Comedy hosts for being too divisive and political. Kinsey, he makes an excellent point. They seem determined to alienate at least half the country, and they don't seem to be that interested in actually being funny.
Yeah, Leno took it.
Whispers in the wine world suggested this backlash had been brewing for a while. Several sommeliers and wine buyers, speaking off the record to trade publications, admitted that Ever Rose suffered from what they called a novice palate problem. Translation: it looked expensive, but the taste didn't justify the price tag. Some even claimed Meghan prioritized the look over the liquid, focusing on bottle shape, label design, and picture-perfect marketing long before she ever tasted the final blend. One critic, without mentioning Brolin, posted a cutting review about the wine's uninspired aroma and oddly flat finish, a not-so-subtle echo of the late-night jab. Meanwhile, Meghan's official channel stayed silent. Sources in Montecito said she was furious and humiliated by the remark. One insider claimed she ordered her PR team to take control of the narrative immediately, though it was obvious the internet had already run wild with the story. Another source alleged she even considered asking The Late Show for an apology or a clarification segment, but her advisors warned it would only pour fuel on the fire. For someone who had spent years cultivating an image of elegance, poise, and control, the entire episode was a branding nightmare.
And I don't know if you saw these other headlines. We had David Letterman, another former late night host, the one that Colbert replaced, lashing out, posting that you can't spell CBS without BS. This is the same company that protected David Letterman from numerous sexual harassment concerns after.
This was Meghan's worst-case scenario, losing control over how the world sees her. Meanwhile, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert basked in the ratings boost. The clip of Josh Brolin's jab became one of the show's most watched YouTube uploads of the month, pulling in viewers who didn't even follow the program. In a twist of irony, Meghan's humiliation became Colbert's viral gold and solidified Brolin as a fan favorite. The producers didn't need to issue statements, explain the context, or distance themselves from the joke. They simply let the internet do its thing. Every replay meant more ad revenue for CBS and more eyeballs on their show. It was an unintentional masterclass in late-night virality. The danger for Meghan isn't about the wine anymore. It's about the story people now tell themselves when they hear the name Ever Rose. Awards could roll in tomorrow, critics could sing its praises, and it wouldn't matter. Because that crude comparison, it's burned into the public's mind forever. Once a brand becomes a meme, it stops being a brand. It becomes a joke. And jokes don't sell elegance. No matter how she rebrands, relaunches, or repackages it, this shadow will follow her. For her critics, it's proof of everything they say. She is style over substance, hype over authenticity. And this time, it wasn't a tabloid rumor she could brush off. It was a live, televised moment. Laughter from the audience. Millions watching online. The kind of humiliation that doesn't fade, it lingers. Luxury wine lives on prestige. The moment that illusion of sophistication cracks, it's almost impossible to put it back together. Ever Rose was meant to be the drink of refined evenings, delicate aromas, and elegant glasses. But Brolin's gut punch comparison turned it into a punchline overnight. Now, in people's minds, that $30 bottle is tied to something cheap, crude, and unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. In Hollywood, perception moves faster than truth. And insiders say this moment didn't just embarrass Meghan, it exposed her. Furious in private, silent in public. To some, it made her look thin-skinned, image-obsessed. And in an industry built on quick comebacks and thick skin, that's the last reputation you want in a negotiation room. The damage doesn't stop with the wine. It bleeds into her other ventures. Lifestyle brands thrive on trust. The kind that lets you sell wine, fashion, home goods, or streaming shows under the same name. Now, that trust is cracked. If Ever Rose feels overhyped and underwhelming, people might assume the same about everything else she touches. For years, Meghan has worked to control her story. Every interview staged, every docu-series moment polished. But unscripted, unfiltered moments like this, they strip away the armor. And once the public sees a crack, they start looking for more. In PR, it's called the credibility crack. If it spreads, it doesn't just bruise a brand, it can sink it.